Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 24 career mode. This is part number 26 today for the Australian Grand Prix in Season 2. If you guys did miss the previous episode, the opening round of this season in Jeddah, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, as it really delivered the goods. A brand new season, new cars, new liveries, some new driver transfers, and also a high inflation R&D scenario storyline in the background, a shortened 16 race calendar, and we kick things off in Saudi Arabia with a bang, because out of nowhere Fernando bloody Alonso turned back the clocks and got win number 33 for himself. A great day for Aston Martin, a chaotic day all round for the entire grid. I mean, we had a Haas at one point in the top three. Haas as a team still ended up outscoring Red Bull as a team, who themselves got outscored by the Junior Visa Cash App RB team. It was, yeah, definitely one to go check out if you didn't see it in full. We managed to recover. At one point, we were stone dead last place after a safety car, after a front wing non-change mishap. Yeah, it was a good recovery drive, but at the same time, still reeling a little bit from what could have been, what should have been a really strong, firm start to the season and a statement of intent, especially when we've got the best car on the grid at the moment. And I feel like we, as I said many times in that episode, we have to make the most of it. We really do, because these prices are ridiculous for upgrades. The cheapest one I've got going is the drag reduction update, which I can afford, but you can see Lando is also looking at that upgrade. So I'm kind of really crossing my fingers that he will purchase this upgrade. I can save my R&D, and we can save it for a rainy day, or rather for a day where I can actually afford one of the other chassis upgrades or the engine upgrades. But we go through our specialists, and as one of you guys pointed out and recommended in the last episode, I'm going to change the primary specialist to help us speed along some of these leveling ups, because I think the specialists are going to really be quite important for us to try and reduce, you know, upgrade times, cost, failure rates, you know, in a season where we probably won't be buying many upgrades this entire season, and I reckon the other AI teams around us will be, with their increased R&D, us with the reduced. And as we go towards Australia, Lando thankfully does actually do exactly what I wanted him to do. He bought that drag reduction update, so that saves us individually some R&D. But it's not just me talking about, you know, a bit fearful about the AI catching us up in this high inflation scenario. It's actually reality straight away here in round 2. We as a team, McLaren, plateau, and a lot of the teams directly behind us, Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, they make an upgrade. Whether it's a major or two minors, I don't know, but they already are now a bit closer to us on paper in R&D terms. So this is what I'm on about. If we were set to plateau for the next 5 races, and Red Bull, for example, continued that upgrade path, they would be, you know, with us. They would be overtaking us on the R&D chart. That may be me looking a bit too far into the future, and quite a lot of these times with these career modes, I actually like to do the opposite. I just take it race by race. But when you've got this new R&D scenario, you know, to play around with, for the first time we've got this in an F1 game, it does make you think a little bit more about how you're tactically playing, which is why I really like that we've been able to, you know, add this scenario to the game, because it just added a whole new dynamic to the gameplay, especially for someone like myself who plays the game a lot and, you know, is able to earn a lot of R&D and actually upgrade the car quite significantly, maybe compared to someone who doesn't play the game as much and doesn't know the ins and outs. You know, for me, it really adds that extra tier and challenge to the career mode experience, and it's one that I'm trying to already outplay a little bit if I can, you know, to allow us to have a successful season. But anyway, that is, you know, worries, I guess, looking at the R&D chart. But when we get to the race weekend, it really is just helmet on and focus about the job at hand, which is there and then, which is obviously here down under for qualifying at Melbourne.
And a warm welcome, everybody. We're here in the heart of Melbourne. It's Albert Park, and it's qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix.
And we've maybe got something to prove here down under, because we didn't get pole position in Jeddah. We probably should have. It was a surprise to see Ferrari up there. And, you know, I kind of want to confirm the speed this car should have, you know, when you look at that R&D chart. Whether it's me or Lando, I think one of us needs to prove that this car does have the pace to put it on pole, and then hopefully one of us can go for the win. But you know, it's close, you know, even in Jeddah. You know, having said all this, remember qualifying in Q3 in Jeddah, it was so tight, you know, only 0.2 of a second covering, you know, 4 or 5 drivers in the top 10 shootout, and the same might be here. So it's going to be an interesting one. The field spread from the best team to the bottom team is already closer than it ever has been in this career series so far, and again, Ferrari are looking pretty decent. Verstappen up there as well this time. It was a very quiet weekend for Red Bull and the 3-time world champion Max Verstappen last time out, so he needs to punch back. Of course, as I alluded to, Haas outscored Red Bull, so it's really a race weekend for Red Bull to bounce back as we go into turn 1. Russell's slow and he doesn't get out of the way! Russell, what are you doing, man? He's broken our front wing for the second race in a row. If you remember in Jeddah, he broke our front wing there in the middle of the race, and now he's been an absolute lemon, and he's not got out of the way on my flying lap. He had come out the pit lane, and you could maybe say, okay, I maybe should have moved to the right of him, but as the car that just come out the pit lane, I thought he was going to be jumping off the racing line, which naturally is on the left-hand side initially on that corner exit. And I decided to stick left thinking he would dive out of the way, but no, Russell gets in our way again. Is this the start of a new rivalry in this season? Because to be honest, Russell pissed me off a lot in Jeddah, and just then that really irked me quite a fair bit. Thankfully, we got into the top 10 shootout. It wasn't a great, well, second lap technically, but it's our one and only timed lap in that session. We got through. Russell did as well, so no harm done in terms of making it through into the top 10 shootout, but certainly a little bit of irkness going forwards into the race weekend after already being irked by our fellow compatriot in Saudi Arabia as we now go into the top 10 shootout. The sun has come down. This is going to be a little bit annoying on the eyes in a few corners when the sun gets in our face, but this is the time to deliver because we only have this one set of soft tyres, because I had to burn my second set I would have had doing that Q2 lap after Russell, the man who's just gone provisional pole, broke our front wing. So I'm absolutely getting my head down. I saw that pop-up of Russell on provisional pole, and that just made me so annoyed in the cockpit. The red mist has fully descended in this cockpit, and I was determined to challenge Russell for that pole position, because no one else has gone quicker so far as we're finishing out this lap. So I think right now, oh, big snap of oversteer on the curb. We almost lose the car. We're pushing so hard, pushing the limits of the car and the track, as right now it is very much Russell on provisional pole. Can we beat him to it across the line? It was only green, but is it enough? Yes, it is! Pole position. Suck on that, Russell. Get done. 2 tenths ahead. That is what I'm on about. That is what I'm on. That's revenge. That's revenge for Q2. But also, that would have been the worst thing ever. Can you imagine, after what happened in Q2, if we only qualified like P4 and then we saw him on pole position? Nah, I was not letting that happen. As soon as I saw that flash up for provisional pole, purple lap time, I just knew we had to find a bit. We had to dig deeper and find a bit more time, and we did. Yeah, great lap for us. It's only our 3rd ever pole position, and I'd like to thank Russell personally for motivating me to get that pole position. But now, like in Jeddah, front row, can we actually convert it though to a win? You know, in Jeddah, we matched our qualifying position P2 to P2, so hopefully the pattern follows. We can go P1 to P1, but something tells me there's going to be a bit of a fight. You've got Leclerc up there, Verstappen up there as well, out qualifying Lando, who's only P5, so I think the cars around us, the teams around us, do have a bit of pace. So let's go to the grid and see how it shakes out.
You can hear the Australian fans roaring as they line the track here in Albert Park. Welcome to Melbourne, and the roar from the crowd can only mean one thing. It's race day. The Melbourne circuit is certainly one that needs to be taken seriously. It's a combination of slippery surfaces and difficult corners, making it a very tricky track when it comes to overtaking. Drivers find it hard to pass and will need to take full advantage of those DRS zones if they want to have any hope of breaking through. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. In pole position then, it's McLaren, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Verstappen, Norris, Hamilton, Perez, Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Bottas, Albon, Hülkenberg, Oscar Piastri, Ricciardo, Zhou, Gasly, Tsunoda, Stroll, and Logan Sargent. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. And alongside me in the commentary box today, former racing driver herself, Naomi Schiff. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, every driver certainly has their own way of preparing themselves before a race. But I can tell you that pre-race rituals are a real thing. When I was in go-karting, I used to touch every wheel in a specific sequence before I got into the kart. And then I stepped up to cars and had a specific set of fireproof base layers just for race day. So watch the drivers when they're on the grid. Some may be sitting on the floor and isolating, others may be up to other things that they do. But these little things really help their minds get ready for the race.
So it's going to be a very interesting race strategy-wise, actually, for this one. In Jeddah, we didn't really see it too much, but here we are. A bit of a difference in strategy options going on, because I actually failed to mention this to you guys in the pre-season video and even the first episode, because I actually forgot I had it installed because it didn't have an effect in Jeddah. But I have installed a slight Tyre Wear Mod for this season, just to make things a bit more interesting, because a few of you did point out in quite a few episodes in Season 1, it got very samey. It was clear that medium to hard or hard to medium was just the best strategy out there for every single circuit. That's, you know, annoyingly part and parcel of real life F1, but also the game really made it worse with the training, which is still there. Unfortunately, even with the 1.5 patch, there is still a fair bit of ERS, DRS training with the AI. So for Season 2, I did find this really great Tyre Wear mod on overtake.gg. I'll link it down below in the description if you want to try it out for yourselves on PC. At a few tracks where it's just not a tyre wear heavy track, you'll still get a one-stop, which was the case in Jeddah. But at other circuits, this mod has been tested to give you that difference of strategy of a two-stop or even a three-stop, as you can see on the screen. So hopefully this is going to create a bit more entertainment for us versus the AI, a bit of actual choice and thinking about what strategy we prefer and what we want to do in the race, whether it's tyre saving or really pushing flat out. So for this race, I really want to test out the speed of this car, and to be fair, the recommended strategies to me for this McLaren are only a 2 or a 3 stop here. Maybe some of the other AI teams, maybe their cars are better suited for tyre saving, so they might have a projected 1 stop still on their options screen. But for McLaren here, it seems our car isn't quite there yet in terms of the tyre upgrades, so we've got a 2 or 3 stopper. I'm thinking the 2 stop. I think 3 stop is a bit too overkill for a circuit like this, so I think medium to hards. Let's see how that goes, and I'm very intrigued to see if others are going to have a different strategy. I mean, straight away you can see Lando anyway is starting on the hard compound, which is a very interesting choice. So whether he's trying a 1 stop, you know, hard to medium, going really long on the hard compound, I don't know. If he is, that might be very interesting to see how it ends up in terms of where we are, you know, with the same car with such a different strategy and starting tyre. But yeah, things are going to be a bit more intriguing, hopefully, for the rest of this season, depending on the track, obviously, in terms of its natural tyre wear levels, with this added mod for the sake of actually making it a bit, you know, interesting when it comes to strategy, which is a large part of why I think I and a lot of you like Formula 1, you know, actually having to think about what compound you're going to go on to or how you should drive in the race, whereas in Season 1, a lot of it was very mindless, just, you know, going for the same old one stop. And obviously fitting in with the series in terms of a story, well, every year in F1, Pirelli slightly tweak their tyre compounds. F1 sometimes asks them to tweak it, so this can just be one of those things where Pirelli have tweaked it going into the 2025 season as we get ready to go to round 2 down under here for the Australian Grand Prix. Off pole position, lights out, and away we go. Can we get the best jump versus Russell? Yes, we can. Verstappen gets a good start as well, though. Already looking leaps and bounds better than he did in Jeddah, because Verstappen is up to second place in that white Red Bull this season. Russell down to third. We've made a good start, and we've made up for the start we had in Jeddah, where we went down, well, initially like 2 positions, wasn't it? And then we gained 1 back through the first few corners. This time we have kept everything. We've kept it from pole to first place. Lando's made a good start up to P4, you know, on the hard compound ahead of Leclerc in the Ferrari. So that's pretty decent for him to get track position on one of the medium tyre runners on the hard compound tyre. But almost immediately now on lap 1 in this part of the circuit, like we saw in season 1, the AI very strong, and they like to use a lot of battery down that straight, even without DRS, which is not activated till the next lap. Verstappen gains on me, but you can actually clearly see he's maybe overused the battery, because Russell now looking for the repass to get into second place. Yep, Russell's through into second, so tangibly you actually saw there Verstappen probably overusing his overtake mode to try and overtake me, and he's been now opened up and susceptible to the Mercedes car, who's walked through in P2. But Russell has got his head down because he set the fast lap of the Grand Prix now, so the two of us battled for pole position on the Saturday, and now on Sunday fighting for the race lead because the Mercedes is clean past. Maybe we dive back down the inside, but Russell has a beautiful exit in the middle of that high-speed chicane. He actually has DRS now. Annoyingly, the detection point is only happening once there, that section, but despite having DRS twice on those 2 straights, we use enough battery and are able to outbrake him to get back into P1. But you can already get a sense that I think we're going to have a real scrap on our hands with Russell, maybe. You know, it's not just going to be us being annoyed by him in qualifying. That Mercedes genuinely has some good race pace here. I mean, we were with Russell for quite a lot of Jeddah, of course, along with Leclerc. And speaking of, both of them go through here. This part of the circuit is ridiculous for slipstreaming. It's almost just as like bad as Monza for, you know, you being defenseless. Like the car behind with DRS, it's just a slam dunk overtake, and you have to accept that as Leclerc locks up, though. The Ferrari makes a mistake. That's not going to help him, and it's going to help our teammate Lando Norris, who gets up into 3rd place on the hard compound tyre, remember. So he's looking really good. If he can maintain, you know, just around the top 5, I think he's in a really good position if he wants to try a 1-stop, or he's trying a more aggressive 2-stop in the opposite way, where he's on the softer compounds at the end of the race. That could really pay him dividends later on. Meanwhile, we look to re-overtake Russell. He goes defensive. He gives us a bit of a squeeze, and to be fair to him, he placed his car perfectly there to just give us enough room, but also make it quite awkward. Instead, we just wait for, well, the exact same location. He overtook us, we just overtake him in the same manner, round the outside with DRS. It's just so easy at that part of the circuit. Now on to lap 8, though, in the lead, but now facing a little bit of tyre wear, as you can see, having to soar away at the steering wheel in some of these slower corners as these mediums are starting to go off, and so just indicating that it very much is an actual 2-stop in this race, as we've got yellow flags, and that is unfortunately Nico Hulkenberg, one of the stars of the opening race. He is out of this Australian Grand Prix. So from a real great race to a harsh reality of Formula 1 for Haas there, as he's out, as Russell tried to overtake me. Look at that little drift there. We're really losing grip in some of these corners on these mediums now, but you can clearly see it's just me and Russell. We've both pulled away. Lando is holding everyone up a little bit on the hard compound of tyres, so it really just is me and Russell scrapping it out at the moment. Verstappen's down to P5. So again, Red Bull not looking too hot right now here in Season 2 in 2025. And meanwhile, Ocon in the Williams in a top 10 there. They'll be pretty happy with that so far. But it's early days. We're only 1/3 of the way through this race as Russell repasses us in that same place. DRS open. Oh, my God. We nearly spanned the car out there as we went from right to left. Russell gave us no room on the inside, but as we tried to go around the outside, you saw that huge wobble. I actually nearly lost the car there because the tyre grip is so gone, and this might be a good time to come in for that first of 2 pit stops as we nearly crash it into the pit lane. Literally, these tyres have completely gone off the cliff here, and it's time for this first of 2 stops today onto another set of medium tyres. But until about lap 8, those mediums did work really well, so we just need to maybe be a little bit more careful at the end of the stint. You know, we're learning how to protect the tyres a bit with this different sort of tyre wear into this season, so we'll hopefully do a bit of learning from that first stint and take it into this second stint. But immediately on the outlap, surprise, surprise, the Ferrari completely just walks by us there, but I'm not too worried. I think I've learned from Season 1 here in Melbourne. There's no point getting annoyed at them overtaking you there. You just have to kind of back yourself that you can stick with them and try and re-overtake them, as we will stick with Leclerc onto lap 10. Alonso is also right behind us, lap 11 actually, as we now enter turn 1. Look at the Aston Martin in the background. So Alonso has actually jumped Russell. So Fernando Alonso, the star of the show in Jeddah, he's here because I was in first place. I'm battling Leclerc now for what will be a net P1, you'd like to think, and Alonso is right there behind us, so that is very intriguing. But also at the same time, ahead of us, Perez is third. I believe Lando is leading the race. Verstappen second. Obviously, Lando's on hards going long, but the 2 Red Bulls on mediums, they've not pit yet. I know Russell just pit now, and he's still on a 2-stop, but are Red Bull going long? Are they trying a 1-stop maybe, as we focus on Fernando Alonso going for an overtake, and he's made it on the Ferrari. Alonso is flying in this season here. The Aston ahead of the Ferrari. He's up into P6, which, you know, is maybe second on the road, maybe, depending on who's pitting when, as Sargent is still ahead of us in the Alpine, but Lando's in then. Oh, so Lando comes in. Only 12 laps on the hards, okay. So Lando's definitely doing a 2-stop then, just hard to, I guess, medium, but the 2 Red Bulls, they go longer than Lando on a set of mediums. So I actually think the Red Bulls, they're trying a 1-stop as Alonso has a go at us. We're not going to be phased, though, by the Aston Martin. We don't even defend the inside because that would have been a bit of waste of time. But Alonso and Leclerc go either side of us. I mean, what a camera shot there. Alonso and Leclerc either side of us. But we're just going to take it nice and easy. There is no point overdriving, getting worried. I have confidence in this car, which is very rare. I didn't have this kind of confidence in Season 1 when I got overtaken. It was kind of, no, I have to defend every single lap. But now that we know we've got a good car as we get out the throttle there, because we almost hit Leclerc's rear wing, now it's a case of having a little bit of experience, having that confidence on ourselves, just to calm things down, not be too desperate, and just let the race come towards us, you know? It's not our rookie season anymore. It's a bit of a wiser head on these shoulders as we go for the pass on Alonso, who's harvesting ERS with that blinking light. Leclerc as well. We go either side of the Spaniard, but now we look to get the Ferrari. He's going to defend, I guess, to the inside, but no, he actually leaves the door open. We go to the inside, bit of a lock-up though, and the Ferrari manages to go around the outside. I don't actually know how he's done that, because I really thought we booked in that overtake, but fair play to him, because we got it a bit mixed up on the rear locking. As finally now, lap 13, Verstappen is in. Perez continues on, but Red Bull, Verstappen medium to hards, I think he's on a 1-stop, you know, as now we make the overtake on Leclerc into turn 1. Perez still going, but he will come in eventually. But yeah, I actually think very nicely, almost immediately after talking about this differing tyre wear and strategy play, I think we've got a 1-stop via 2-stop on our hands. I think the Red Bulls, they've got good enough tyre upgrades where they can try the 1-stop, which makes a lot of sense, obviously, because in real life, especially Verstappen, he's very good on his tyres, so it makes sense that they are trying a 1-stop, whereas the rest of us are on a 2-stop. as we are now in first place, trying to defend Leclerc. We squeeze him, but Leclerc, oh my goodness me, what a commitment there from the Ferrari. That was, I honestly thought he was never going to keep his nose on the inside there. I went to the right to squeeze him out, and he kept his foot in. Fair play to him, fair play. He didn't make the overtake, but it's fair play at least. As Albon is P5. Don't know if he's doing a one-stop or not, but he's definitely out of place at the moment because he's ahead of Lando, ahead of Sainz, Hamilton, as we continue our fight in P1. But lap 17, we come in a bit earlier than maybe the cars behind us, because I want to go onto the hard compound of tyre, because I'm trying to negate that awful last lap we had on the first stint where the tyres really start to go off. So I'm coming in one lap earlier than maybe our indicated strategy was saying, just to try and avoid that tyre wear right at the end of the medium tyre stint. We're now onto hards to the end of the race, 11 laps to go. Lando went 12 laps in his first stint, so we know the hards are good for that, as we just come out ahead of Ocon, and much to his annoyance, maybe slow him up as Stroll overtakes him. But very nicely, we now catch up to Oscar Piastri in the Haas. To be fair to him, he's doing very well in his home race, you know, on his return to the F1 grid. He's doing really well for Haas. He actually still might be in the points just about there. So I'm hoping for his sake he actually can continue on and do well. But we make quick work of him, because our fight is not with him. Our fight is with, well, all these guys coming out the pits now. Leclerc, Russell, Alonso. We're miles ahead of them now with the undercut. And instead, we're setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on lap 20. Closing up to Perez on his hard tyres. And with only 9 laps to go, I think this is confirming to us that Red Bull are indeed trying a one-stop. Lando's still leading the way though, so let's see what he does. But we close up to Checo, and he's, oh my god, he locks up, and that was nearly a carbon copy of what happened in Jeddah. My god, I got PTSD there. Not again, I thought. Thankfully, no damage to the front wing. Perez, though, makes a mistake immediately after I pressurized him, and we nearly had a repeat of what happened with Russell. But no, we live to fight for another day, and fight for another day we will, because eventually Lando has come in for his second stop. So it means Max Verstappen leads the way for Red Bull on that one stop. We're in second place, 1.7 seconds behind him, 7 laps to go. It is all down to us. We are the only person who can maybe take the fight to Verstappen. Maybe Perez will be susceptible to these guys behind, but meanwhile, you've got some battling going on between Russell, Leclerc and Alonso, still scrapping. Sainz and Albon, of all people, and Lando, making that second stop quite late into this race, is all the way down in P9. Where can he recover to? We're going to have to see how these last 7 laps go, with the tyre wear ramping up at the end. Albon going for the move on the Ferrari. He won in Las Vegas last season. He's just overtaken a Ferrari. Maybe Williams and Albon really are on the up as we go on board with Lando, who makes a very aggressive move on Carlos Sainz, gets up into P8, and now will set his sights surely on the Williams car. But that was very impressive, showing how much pace he has on those fresh mediums. Of course, everyone else on hard tyres that have seen a few laps, as there's still battling going on between Leclerc, Russell and Alonso as they swap positions left, right and centre. Meanwhile, we focus back on our fight and our chase of Verstappen, the race leader. We're within DRS. We're saving battery on purpose in order to push away from him if we can make the overtake. But it's a big if. Can we get it done on this straight? We go to the left. Verstappen doesn't give us any room to work with, and he is defiant at remaining in first place. And that was good defense from him. We decided so early on to go to the left, and Verstappen just shut the door there, which is fair enough. As Leclerc goes down the order to P6, he's got a car issue, I can tell you. So the Ferrari is going to be in trouble, and Lando may just pull up to him now to get P6 eventually, as we now focus back on the fight into turn 1. DRS aided, still saving battery on purpose to use it after we've potentially made this overtake, which we'll try again. DRS aided on the left, big dive bomb used, the fresher hard tyres that we have, and we make the overtake on the Red Bull. We're into first place, and now we've got, look at that entire yellow bar, we've got so much battery to use to push away and to try and break DRS from Verstappen. Meanwhile, in our teammates' world, he's going for the pass, a very easy pass on Leclerc, although the Ferrari did give him a good old squeeze there, but he's got up into P6. Leclerc falling away, might even get overtaken by his own teammate eventually. Lap 25, Lando now with DRS on Russell. Russell, though, making the move on Alonso. He's going to have to wait. He's going to make it on Alonso first, and then maybe look to make the pass on the Mercedes on the following lap. But Lando, he's absolutely flying. He's up to P5. He'll be up to P4 maybe. No, Russell shuts the door there. Little bit awkward, but he can re-engage surely and get that P4 eventually. And there's still enough laps left in this race. I reckon Lando could actually catch third place Perez. And remember, he was in P9. So just showing you that difference of tyre wear. And just very nicely, that difference of strategy playing out, you know. The two-stop ending up quicker for us, but maybe not quicker for Russell, let's say, or Alonso. Then obviously you just have, you know, other teams in play. You know, Albon, they're in P10. I think Albon's also on a one-stop, I think. And he's doing well with it. He's in the point. So yeah, this new tyre wear really creating some very interesting racing actually compared to Season 1, because you're seeing late overtakes. You're seeing that difference of grip as Lando gets up into P4 and, well, Sainz and Hamilton swapping positions. Hamilton down to P9. Sainz still trying to overtake his own teammate who's slow with a mechanical issue. So, that's a bit of an odd one, to be honest. I feel like Leclerc should probably just let Sainz by and then be a bit of a blockade for Hamilton and Albon. But no, Leclerc is still milling around trying to maximise his position. I think surely at this point on this next straight, Sainz is going to get that overtake done and get up into P7. Hamilton will then try and follow suit, and maybe even Albon. Albon could actually be up to P9 if Leclerc really falls away. But Leclerc's still defending, you know. He's still chopped his own teammate off there despite having a car issue. This is going to be a bit of frustration for the two Ferrari drivers, just like we've seen in real life, frustration with each other as we go back to our POV. Lap 28 as we nearly go to the last lap of the Grand Prix. Look at that rear end wagging though as the tyre wear kicks in for us, but also a little bit of rain is kicking in, because you may see it's a bit darker as that's Ricciardo who's out of this race with the DNF. It's starting to rain and the rain is on the way, so very odd race in that kind of way. You know, rain coming right to the last moment, but we're on the last lap now. It's all about taking it to the end and controlling this lead. But this is absolutely what we wanted to do and set out to do, having the best car on the grid. We you know, from pole, it would have been so bad if we didn't convert it to a win. This is what we've got to go for. This is what we've got to do. We've got to be ruthless, and that's exactly what Lando Norris is. The reigning world champion recovers from P9 to P3 on an immense final stint on the mediums. This is more like it. This is a true show of our pace for the McLaren team, but you got to say good kudos to Red Bull for recovering back from that horrendous race in Jeddah. They're the only team that's made a one-stop work, and you saw before the pit stops, they were down in like what, 5 and 6 or 5 and 8 or whatever. And now they're P2 and 4, so genuinely that one-stop ability for them has saved their race a little bit. But, you know, you wouldn't have had that beforehand without this tyre wear difference as we cut back to our racing action through the final couple of corners. It is raining right now, but it's not going to rain on our parade today. It's going to be P1. It's going to be our 5th ever win in Formula 1. It's the win at the Australian Grand Prix.
Oh, yes, guys, yes! Come on, boys!
Pole to the win. That's exactly what we had to do today. That is more like it to start this season off really proper. Jeddah was a bit of fun, a bit of chaos, but this was way more satisfying.
Another superb Australian Grand Prix comes to an end then, and it's a thoroughly deserved victory.
And it's one thing to win, but to win like that in total dominant style, that was a fantastic drive, and it is not one that we see very often.
I'm hoping we can try and continue this sort of vibe in the next few races, but we'll have to see, you know, what the R&D is saying of other teams, how our drag reduction update obviously fares in, but it's a very good second race. We lead the Drivers' Championship for the first time ever in our F1 careers. But, you know, there's still 14 long races to go. It's still a long old season, 16 race calendar. So let's not get ahead of ourselves, but this is very, very good. As an individual race, this was great. We did what we had to do. We used the car pace. I think we managed the tyres well at the end of the medium tyre stint, especially the second one. And then, we got our head down and actually caught Verstappen and then overtook him, which is no mean feat by any means, especially in season 1. It was very, very difficult to do something like that. And here we did it with some conviction, which is really great. And we also won our championship and rating rivalry against Leclerc and Ocon. So that gets us a massive booster in terms of our overall stats. So truly a great day in the office. Guys, if you have enjoyed it, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.